Earlier this year, the American College of Cardiology formed a controversial partnership with the industry-funded CRF. The CRF will help organize the annual I2 Interventional Cardiology Summit that coincides with the ACC meeting. The Heart.org reported that this was due in part from pressure by the medical device lobbying group AdvaMed. This ACC CRF partnership has infuriated many prominent members of the ACC, and now the United States Senate is investigating. Senator Cole and the Special Oversight Committee on Aging sent the CEO of the ACC, Dr. Lewin, a letter of inquiry last month. The Health Care Channel was the first to report on this. We are pleased to have with us Dr. William ONeill, Dean of Clinical Affairs at the University of Miami, to explain his views on the subject. What are your thoughts on this relationship formed by the ACC and the CRF?
Yeah, I was very surprised when I saw the announcement that ACC and CRF had joined to form an interventional cardiology meeting in the spring. And the reason for that is that I'd been actively involved with the ACC and helped them launch I2 3 years ago. One of the big incentives for ACC to launch this was that there was a feeling that the CRF meeting in the fall was a very commercially driven meeting that may not have adequate balance. And one of the drivers for I2 was to really create a more scientific, less commercial focus for interventional cardiology, and to provide another voice, another filter through which findings and trials could be presented. So it was really surprising to see that, in a sense, ACC had kind of capitulated and agreed to partner with their lead competitor for the voice of interventional cardiology.
How do you grade the handling of this by Dr. Lewin, CEO of the ACC?
Well, Jack is in a very difficult position because they've made a very big decision. I don't think that he sort of recognized the complexities of it. I don't think that he really understood some of the hot-button issues that were present with getting TCT involved. He's relatively new to the ACC and certainly brand new to the field of interventional cardiology. So I think that the current ACC leadership may have stepped into a quagmire without realizing it.
Who at the ACC really drove this partnership with the CRF? Was it the elected Dr. Weaver or Dr. Lewin?
I really don't know. I mean, you'd really have to ask them. I wasn't involved or consulted in any of the process. I think that's the other, if you want, critique of the process. I know that the other I2 leaders, Dr. Knopf and Dr. Rutherford, who were key drivers, were not consulted in the process. And so it really came quite a surprise, I think, to most interventional cardiologists that this whole thing had gone through. Initially, I think I was certainly dismayed that SCAI had decided to split from the annual I2 meeting. I thought that this meeting this spring was very successful, very well attended, and I thought it was just the launch of a great collaboration. So, the chain of events, as I understand it, was that SCAI decided to break away from ACC, and then at that point I think the door was open for CRF and ACC to join forces.
According to the Heart.org, this change to the CRF had something to do with complaints that the medical device companies had with the content of the meetings. But how will partnering with the CRF alleviate any concerns?
We don't really know behind the scenes what drove the decision. My suspicion is that there's a large part of economics involved, and we don't really know what role AdvaMed played. This is a new organization that I think people haven't really put up enough alarm bells about. All four of the presidents of the major device companies now have a method of actively communicating. Initially, it was supposedly to try to get away from doctor relationships with industry, to make it more transparent and to prevent, kind of the bad stories that were happening in the orthopedics industries with physicians from becoming present. But I think right now they're often using it as a tool to drive the industry forward, and AdvaMed, I think, since they provide an enormous amount of funding for these interventional meetings, have an enormous amount of say. So what role they played in brokering the deal, I think, is something that still needs to be determined.